Alright everyone, hello, what is up? TheLoganatorz here and welcome back to KSP Conquest. Today we start where we left off in the last episode, which was with Atlas 2. Atlas 2 had a shortage of electric charge, couldn't communicate back to Kerbin, and was stuck in an orientation that didn't allow it to recharge its batteries. Luckily though, enough time has passed where the spacecraft has been orientated the right way, so we're able to get power back too. And which means we can control the vessel, and the first thing we're going to do with it is get it into a proper orbit, get rid of that second stage, and then go down to periapsis and circularize the orbit so we can start mapping the MUN. So that way we can complete the SCANsat contract, and I guess we can have a second relay. Well, it's not going to be the primary relay when I do set up a communications network for the MUN, but it can serve as a secondary relay, so that'd be nice. But anyways, that contract is complete, and we got a really cool map of the MUN, so that's pretty cool. Let's go on to the next mission to get some more funds. Alright, here we are on the launch pad with Liberator 1. Liberator 1 is supposed to go to orbit and rescue a few Kerbals that are stranded there. We've got Carlo's Hulk here, and we've also got Malili's Craft. Pretty sure that's how you say it. Malili Kerbin. Anyways, we gotta rescue these Kerbal knots from orbit and bring them back safely. So, this is our spacecraft that we are going to use to do so. We've got a Mark 1 crew cabin, which is gonna hold the 2 Kerbal knots. And we got Valentina piloting the whole thing up here. One thing I forgot to put on this thing though is batteries. So, we're gonna have to make this mission quick if we're actually going to succeed. But I think we'll be able to do it. Should have enough Delta V. So, without further ado, let's check our staging really quick here because it is a hot mess. There we go. Awesome. And I think that does it. So let's get ready for the launch in a few minutes here when they get overhead. Alright, cool. Ready to launch in 3, 2, 1, and lift off. Valentina Kerbin in the air to rescue the Kerbal knots from above. Liberator 1 launches off very well, and we're able to get out of the atmosphere rather quickly. We use those hammer SRBs at the bottom of the craft to get a very nice thrust to weight ratio, and we're out of the atmosphere before we even knew we launched. So, pretty good launch there. Got out of the atmosphere. I had to include those massive tail fins at the bottom of this craft in order to counteract the drag induced by the tail fins up top, which are there to keep me stable during re-entry, because having that big crew cabin is not the most stable thing to be taking back, or the way I have it right now, it definitely isn't. But anyways, we get a direct capture with Malili Kerbin, who is an engineer. She's going to be useful since we have Kerbal attachment system and inventory system, which benefit engineers the most, so she's definitely going to help out a lot. So we retrieve her, she gets in the crew cabin, everything is good, and we're going to head right on over to Carlos Kerbin and just retrieve Carlos. So there you go, we get an encounter. Not too bad. We're running a little low on electric charge, so we got to be a little careful there. So I plan my descent to try and get a little close to the KSC. I have just enough electric charge for one more orbit, so I do that. I do my deorbit burn, get rid of my upper stage, come down nicely, and actually had to spin during re-entry because those tail fins keeping me stable are very, very close to blowing up. Their heat tolerance is not very good, so I have to spin a little bit using the last of my electric charge just to get down safely. But we do get down safely, we deploy the chutes, and we land in the ocean. So mission success there. 2 Kerbals retrieved, an engineer and a scientist. So very good there. Let's go on to our next mission, which is very, very important. So the all-important mission that we needed to complete this episode was to build a new communications network around Kerbin. This mission was not easy at all, and I'm going to get to all the difficult challenges that I had to overcome in a little bit. But right now we have to accept the right contract for us. We have 2 contracts. One of them is to create a communications network with only 3 satellites, while the other one you have to do it with 4. So I ultimately went for the 4 satellite contract. That way the satellites can be closer to each other and I can make use of omnidirectional antennas. So that way they can all be connected rather easily and I don't have to bring a ton of different dishes that point at all the satellites. So that was alright. We got the omnidirectional antenna. Everything is good. This is our craft that we built and we're sending it up into space. All is looking good. We have more than enough Delta V on this thing, so changing orbits is not going to be an issue at all. And yeah, everything looks good. There's only one thing I forgot to build on this craft though, and that's to put additional batteries on. So we're only using the batteries that are in the probe core, which only allows me to have 10 electric charge, which whenever I go on the dark side of Kerbin, I'm not going to be able to operate these crafts. So luckily though, remote tech can't detect if there's no electric charge on the craft when we're in the map view, the tracking station. No, not the map view, just the tracking station or other crafts. So when I'm flying a mission to, let's say, min-miss, it's not going to detect that it's out of electric charge. So we're still going to get a signal as long as it's connected over the KSC. So that is good. So there you go. We get into orbit. Everything's good. We actually be a bit OCD on this one, and we get into a 250-kilometer circular orbit. So the apoapsis and the periapsis is exactly the same. So that took a lot of patience and just kind of fine maneuvering, thrust limiting, stuff like that. But we do that with all the satellites, and then it turns out 4 satellites at a 250-kilometer circular orbit isn't enough for one of the satellites to connect to both of them at the same time. So we have to raise our apoapsis a little bit higher in order to get all of the satellites to connect to each other. So I raise all the orbits up to 275-kilometer circular orbits, and it's just enough to create communications network. So there you go. Actually, I raised Vanguard's 2 orbit to help out a little bit, but then I realized it's not going to really do much in terms of helping out the contract. So ultimately, I did end up raising the orbits, but everything worked out. So we got our communications network. So future unmanned missions are going to be a lot easier now, and just one massive chore that we had to get out of the way. It was a pain to do, but we got it done. We created the first communications network, so bravo on that. Alright, so here's our communications network. We got 4 comm satellites up in the skies, just looking down over Kerbin and the Kerbin system, ready to provide 100% coverage. And they're not going to slip out of their orbits because they're all at an altitude of 275 kilometers exactly in circular orbits, so they should not slip at all. And yeah, they're going to provide some nice coverage. Luckily, the mission worked out. It barely did. I had to raise the orbits a few times. They weren't in the correct position. The battery power was low, so I couldn't do anything at night. But hey, they're all working now. And that one dish, well, the dish that we have on top of all of the satellites means that we have coverage all the way out to Minmus. So pretty darn cool there. There we go. Contract complete. Now we're going to see now if, okay. So barely, the connection just barely works, but hey, it does work, so that's good. Contract complete. We get 180,000 funds and rewards, so we're gonna actually use that to upgrade the VAB here. There we go. The game was thinking, and oh, the world's flooded. All right, we have 500, almost 500,000 funds, so we're gonna use almost all of it to upgrade that VAB, leaving us with just a mere 44K left. We have to do some more contracts here. What are we going to do? Plant a flag on the Mun. That pays pretty nicely. I think we can actually build a rocket that can do that. So let's, yeah, let's do it. Let's plant a flag on the Mun. What else can we do? I think that's all we can do. I mean, go on an orbital spacewalk near the Mun. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. I mean, we're going to be doing that anyway, so, you know, might as well. So here we are in the VAB building Mun Explorer 2, and this is going to take Bob Kerman around the Mun and complete the orbital spacewalk mission, as well as gather really important science in order to unlock some more tech nodes so we can build a lander to land on the Mun and complete the next contract. But we've included a probe core up top of the craft actually, so then we can control it even though Bob Kerman has no piloting skills. So interesting workaround there, but hey, there you go. We've launched off, we're doing pretty well. This shows side boosters which provide a ton of thrust. We're going up pretty good. We've got plenty of delta V. We get in orbit very nicely. Pretty standard launch procedure. Very similar to the Mun 1 mission, except we've got an extra stage on this thing. Probably didn't need it. I actually had some more delta V in the end, so it was alright. I also brought some life support containers just in case something went wrong this time. So we have some contingency too, so that's going to be nice. We do get our way to the Mun. Everything looks good. We've got some few science reports that we've already gotten in the upper atmosphere of Kerbin, as well as in space high over Kerbin. So we've already gotten some science. Bob just goes out, collects those, and restores all the experiments since he's a scientist, which is a very nice bonus of bringing him along. We also get some pretty nice shots of Kerbin in the Mun, but once we get to periapsis on this, we're just going to burn straight back to Kerbin, because we want to get home and build Moon Explorer 3, which is going to launch either Valentina or Jebediah Kerbin to the Mun. I still haven't decided yet. We're going to let the Kerbal gods decide their fate. So we're going to just burn back down. Everything looks good. We've got a nice encounter. Periapsis is about 35 kilometers, I think it was. So we're pretty far into the atmosphere, which is going to be more than enough to slow the craft down. And it does do so. Bob Kerbin pressed against his seat with the massive G-forces, but he's alright. He is a tough Kerbal nut. Maybe not as tough as Val or Jebediah, but he can certainly handle the stresses of gravity. But anyways, he has completed the very important mission and brought our science counter all the way up to about 200 science, and we also have plenty of funds to unlock the new tech node. So now it is time to go launch the first mission to the Mun. Because of Bob, we were able to unlock these tech nodes here, which is required to construct Moon Explorer 3, which is going to be using those 2.5 meter parts. So we're going to be able to build a much wider rocket, which is going to pack a bit more punch for the overall mission. But anyways, we are constructing that in the VAB, and it's pretty much finished, ready to go, and we're out on the launch pad now. However, those with a keen eye actually may notice that Valentina is level 5 and not level 1 like she normally is, and that's because I had to reenact the launch of this mission because the original one was pretty much unusable since it was going at slideshow speed because my computer's RAM just simply wasn't enough to keep up with the task since I had After Effects in the background, which was eating up a lot of the RAM. So launch, unfortunately, I had to redo, but yeah, just popped the craft file in a different sandbox save and did that because there's no saving or quick loading or anything on the regular save. So everything that happens inside the save. That's why I needed to do that. Just so you guys know. But anyways, I'm getting distracted. We actually do launch ourselves up into orbit. Everything goes nicely. This craft has more than enough Delta V to complete a Mun mission. In fact, this thing could probably complete a Duna mission if you do it right. So pretty good on that side of things. But anyways, we go up to the Mun and get ourselves into orbit. So next episode, we're gonna actually land the craft and take everything on from there, and hopefully Valentina's gonna have a safe travel down to the surface and not horrifically smash into the Mun and forever be a part of it. Optimistically though, it's been a very great episode. We got a lot of important and tedious stuff out of the way, like the comm network that took forever to do. The RAM was a little annoying at the end. It's not going to be as laggy as it is right now, so don't worry about that. But anyways, this has been the end of the episode, guys. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe so you'll never miss another KSP Conquest video ever again. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and see you later. Adios, everyone.